Welcome. This is another episode of the Employee Experience Labs podcast from the Munich Podcast Studios. Employee Experience Labs podcasts are about HR tech, shared services, employee experience, and other important topics of HR at the workplace. Today, we talk again about predictions for 2024 when it comes to HR tech and employee experience. I have asked leading HR, tech, and experience experts about their view of what will be important in 2024 and what to watch out for. In each of those episodes, you will learn what one of them has to share. We have recorded the prediction sessions towards the end of 23 and will air them at the beginning of 2024. Today, we look at this from a very different angle as I share insights from Sonia, founder, entrepreneur, and long-term friend. Sonia comes at it from a very specific view, from being deeply rooted in the startup and venture capitalist world, and shares what is important to watch out for and what to expect from that angle. Different from the other episodes, Sonia and I did not manage to speak live with each other, but she provided her answers in a short recording. Let me share these insights with you now.
So thanks for inviting me to comment on the trends that I think are important for 2024, Volker, in HR tech, employee experience, and HR overall. I'll probably come at it from a slightly less conventional perspective because I ducked out of corporate life 5 years ago to focus on the due diligence assessments for venture capital and private equity companies, looking at the human side of what makes scale-up businesses successful. Which gives me insight into a bit more of the pointy lens of the economy at the moment, where there's less deep pockets for some of these companies to draw upon compared to large corporates. I'll look at both data and intuition in terms of the trends that I think are important for next year. So to get to the point in the short term, then for the sector that I'm looking at, which accounts for 90% of businesses worldwide and 50% of employees worldwide, so the SME sector, then the factors that are really challenging for them at the moment are retention and employee well-being. So that's more on the microeconomic short-term side of things for 2024. On the macroeconomic, more strategic long-term perspective, then the factors that I think are going to be really important are org design, because of the impacts of digitalization and the pandemic as an example, as well as artificial intelligence, of course, so generative AI for HR tech. But also I'd like to put in a word for diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it could be seen as becoming less important in the current macroeconomic environment. But I think the winners for organizations as we look into 2024 are going to be those that make a balance between focusing on the more short-term, immediate cost of living type responses, more reactive. These are very real. I understand that. The Great Resignation, quiet quitting, all of these kind of trends. However, I also think we should be building for the future, investing in the future during 2024 with an eye on the medium to the long term, which is why I think org design, skills-based organizations, experimentation with more of a skills-based approach, using AI to rethink jobs and to help the humans to go up a level. I think that these are critically important during 2024, rather than just focusing on the more immediate term issues that people might be facing. If I have a look at the survey of WorkBuzz, which the CEO won Entrepreneur of the Year for Central and East England last year in the UK, they focus on employee engagement, employee experience. It's a company I work closely with, having done the due diligence process for them. I was quite surprised in there to see that only 50% of the 256 HR professionals that responded to their survey are focusing on experimenting with artificial intelligence. So I would suggest that we need to up the ante where that's concerned, because it links very nicely into the more longer term trends, which are about rethinking jobs and going more for a rethink overall about the employment relationship, traditional hierarchical leadership responsibilities, So in summary, I would say I know that retention and employee well-being are critical factors for 2024, but equally we should be focusing on more medium-term factors like org design, artificial intelligence, and diversity, equity, and inclusion.